And but you can always find excuses for the excessive fatigue, the shortness of breath, hoarseness. I barely had a voice by the time I was diagnosed. Swollen ankles, couldn't get my shoes on even. Dizziness, fainting, chest pain or heaviness. I kept telling them, if you get this elephant off my chest, I'll be fine. But especially the bluish tint, showing that you're not getting enough oxygen.
Yeah.
And that's why I can remember things. And there's a lot of PHers that I saw on Facebook even today that have said that they have gotten so forgetful and stuff about stuff. And it's, are you wearing your oxygen all the time? Turn it up if you need to. Check with your doctors. But a lot of women didn't like being on oxygen because of the vanity thing. But it helps.
If it's going to save my life, bring it on.
Really?
So how long do you wear yours all day now?
24/7.
24/7. And when we first started the show, let me tell you, technology and research. So when you can support research and technology and medicine, whatever the cause is, please support it, because they are making huge strides. Because when she first started coming, she had this huge oxygen tank.
Mm-hmm.
And now she has a tiny one that fits in a cute little bag, and you don't even know she has it. And so we've come a long way, baby, but we got a long way to go. So we're going to take a break right now. We have a lot more to share. We're going to give you contact information, websites, how you too can not only get involved, but if you know someone or you yourself feel like this may be you, then we want to make sure that you have a place to go and get help and support. We'll be right back in just a moment. You how it's diagnosed and what are some of the other diseases or illnesses that it gets confused with, because Barbara can tell, because they told her all of this.
The gold standard, an echocardiogram is very non-invasive and will direct the physician that more testing needs to be done. The gold standard of properly diagnosing pulmonary hypertension is with a right heart cath. They've come a long way too. Used to, it was just through the groin. Now they'll even do it through the arm. They'll do it through the neck, and it's much, much easier to do that type of diagnostic test.
And the one thing that I've learned from you is when you go to the doctor and you're still not feeling well, and they're telling you, well, maybe it's bronchitis, maybe it's COPD, and they start treating you and you're still not better, please keep pursuing it. You're still not better regardless of what somebody is telling you.
Right.
Make sure you keep going until you get some, you're feeling better. Even if it's with medicine, if it's with, oxygen, you gotta feel better. So you know your body, listen to it, and keep pushing until somebody gives you the answer that you need. Don't give up.
Exactly. Chuck, like I said, was very persistent with
and Chuck is her wonderful husband.
Yeah. Took me to 14 different doctors. Since I was bedridden, I gained a lot of weight, and since my family wasn't sure whether I was going to wake up the next day or whatever, I asked Brandy, I told Brandy I wanted chocolate-covered peanuts, and she gave me chocolate-covered peanuts every day, and I ate them every day. But God love her, she was so worried about Mama, and she wanted to do, whatever she could do to help me along with that process. Mm-hmm. It tends to get diagnosed as COPD or asthma, but this is a different animal altogether, our zebra. Mm-hmm. Pulmonary hypertension is the constriction of the blood vessels in the lungs, whereas COPD is an obstruction of the blood vessels. Asthma is inflammation. So we're a completely different animal, and doctors have to realize that this is different,
And we've had other doctors to come on with you, and they were very, they love her research. She comes in almost with as much information as the doctors do, and that's what I love her. And she doesn't overstep her bounds with doctors, though. She knows how, I won't say fragile their egos are, but she knows to let them be doctors, but she can surely help with her diagnosis. So make sure that you do research. If you're not, like I said, it is so important to make sure you do your own research and tell the doctor everything.
Exactly.
And they can say, because one of your ladies here said, she was preconceived that she did better with the oxygen. Well, how crazy is that?
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, so she's here. Hey.
Yeah.
And so we're just surrounded by, and this is a monthly meeting. Do they have these meetings in other cities?
Yes, all over the world.
Okay,
all
so
over
we're
the
going to
world.
make sure that you know the website, which is, and we'll have it on the screen, but right now we can just tell them the website.
It's www.phassociation.org as well as phcentral.org. Both very, very good ways to do your research.
And get information,
get
support.
information.
And then there is a PHA
it's a
support?
Right. It's a patient-to-patient. It's not a hotline per se, but it's actually a pulmonary hypertension patient that will talk to someone who thinks that they may have pulmonary hypertension, or if they've just been diagnosed with it, to help them walk through. But we'll have the telephone number,
which is 800-748-7244. 800-748-7274.
And also the Pulmonary Hypertension Association is right up there on the hill in they're in Silver Spring, Maryland, which is not very far away from the White House and Congress and all. And right now we have a bill in Congress now that's a PH Research and Education Act. It's the HR 3520 that will be asking our congressman and to co-sponsor this, because we need funding to continue the research and education.
Definitely. And the way that Barbara helped me to understand what pulmonary hypertension is, she said it is high blood pressure in your lungs. So we're using these big $50 words, but that's what it is. It's high blood pressure. The pressure in your lungs is really elevated. It's high. And she talked about the constricting of the lung, which causes you to, have problems breathing. So
it's hard on your heart.
Yes,
real
it has
hard
to work
on the
extra
heart.
hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But that's not a death sentence. And we
Definitely
talked
not.
about when you're diagnosed back in the day, it was 2.8 years that people were living. 2.8 years. And now Barbara's been diagnosed how long?
13 years in
13
December.
years.
13
So there
years
is
in
hope. There's good news to all of this. That's one thing I wanted to make sure that you knew. Although it is, it's scary to get any kind of diagnosis, from the doctor that is counter to what you wanted to hear, and it threatens your life or your health. But there's good news. There is good news. She's here 13 years.
Yeah. When I was first diagnosed, the only Tracleer had just been FDA approved. It was the only oral drug. The other one had to be mixed and infused directly into the heart. Has to be mixed every day, flow in, and up until these drugs came out, there just wasn't a lot of treatments. Now we've got 12 treatments that are FDA approved, and we've come a long, long way with treatments.
Yeah. But I don't want people to, this is very serious. We know that there are children who have pulmonary hypertension who are fighting for their life daily.
Right. The 12 medications are approved for the adults. There are no FDA approved medications for the children. And we've got several kids right now that are fighting a good fight. Our little Katie Grace is fighting along, and Kaylee is every day, and she's down in Louisiana. And then we've got our little Ileana. She just had open heart surgery day before yesterday to widen a hole in her heart to relieve some of that pressure. But I'd like to tell folks what my goal is eventually for this,
Okay.
is that when a woman finds a lump in her breast, she goes to the doctor and says, could this be breast cancer? I want the public to be aware enough of pulmonary hypertension that if they show the symptoms of the bluish tint, the excessive fatigue, the other symptoms that I had talked about, the dizziness and the heaviness on the heart, to go to their doctor and say, could this be pulmonary hypertension? I want them to know that. I want them to know that.
That is so good. And she's fighting this fight not only for her family and for herself, but she's fighting it for everyone out there. And shows like this really do make a difference. I don't take it for granted that we're here and we're on my show talking about this year after year after year, because when you air this, we air it on TV here locally in other cities and states and overseas, and you get those emails and you share them with me. And it's a show I didn't want to do. That's the crazy thing. It's one of my favorite shows now, but I really didn't want to do this show. And I have learned so much, and I thank you for sharing and being so vulnerable to us and transparent and sharing all of this with us to help save lives, Barbara. You are doing that.
We cannot thank you enough. One day you're going to be syndicated and we'll be the first ones there to
Okay.
open her show with.
She's definitely got my heart. But I want to make sure you know how to get support. There is, a lot of people are on social media. There is a family of PHers out there waiting to connect with you, to hear your stories, to cry with you, to laugh with you, to point you in the right direction, to talk about, share symptoms, almost like sharing war stories, because doing that helps you become more inspired, and it gives you fuel to the fire to say, you know what, PH, you're not going to win. You are not winning this. I got this.
Right.
And you can use her life and so many other lives to use as an example to say, yeah, I'm having a bad day today, but I'm going to fight this thing through. But
Right.
there are good days ahead. There are a ton of good days ahead.
Yep.
So we want to make sure that, if you have symptoms similar to this, I'm not a medical doctor. She's not a medical doctor. I have to say
Right.
this every year. I am not trying to diagnose you, because I cannot. But if you have excessive fatigue, shortness of breath, hoarseness, swollen ankles, dizziness, fainting, chest pain, this heaviness, and you have this all the time, it's not going away no matter what you do, please ask your doctor what Barbara wants you to ask. And that question is,
Could this be pulmonary hypertension?
and that will help save your life or the life of one of your loved ones. I got to tell you, thank you again. We did it.
Thank you.
And I pray and hope that this show is going to do everything that we want it to do.
It
will
will.
be an answered prayer, that lives will be saved, information will be shared, and you'll keep tuning in, because we're going to beat this thing. We're going to fight a good fight. So anyway, everybody, as always, think positive, dream big dreams, help someone along the way, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye, everybody.
Is that it's guaranteed somebody's going to blink when you snap a picture. So I always count to 3, and on 2, everybody would close their eyes. And when I get to 3, open your eyes and smile. That way everybody's eyes will be open at the same time. 1, 2, 3. Now, I always